No, this video will not be fully symmetrical, but it is going to be my ranking of Wes Anderson's movies. He's one of my favorite filmmakers ever since I saw Moonrise Kingdom in theaters, and that's when I was really getting into those kind of movies more when I was very young. But each of his films definitely stands out in a unique way, and he brings in a lot of the same techniques. His movies are so recognizable, whether it's the amazing production design and cinematography, the quirky lines and characters, the family trauma, the depression, the characters creating bonds out of pain. There's so many recurring motifs in his films. Let's kick off this list at the very bottom with number 12, Bottle Rocket. This is his very first movie, and I had the, not benefit of watching it only 2 years ago for the first time, after having seen most of the rest of his movies. So that's why watching Bottle Rocket now kind of underwhelms. I think for many people it still holds up. For me, just having checked it out, much later in the order of having watched his films, nothing about it really stood out to me. It's fun, has its good soundtrack moments at times, but there are also times where it just felt kind of slow to me, or just a warm-up for all the great stuff he delivers on later in his career. At number 11 is Asteroid City. One of the things I notice a lot with Wes Anderson, and especially his more recent films, is he loves to have framing devices. A story within a story, sometimes within a story, even within a story in the case of one movie. He likes to do this, and sometimes it comes off as confusing, sometimes it comes off as really cool and really intricate, but in the case of Asteroid City, it really sinks the whole movie, because you're watching the events of the movie play out, but then you're also told, and even more often as the runtime progresses, that this is actually all just actors in a play acting out their play, but we're seeing it like a movie. It was something weird like that, and it's like a TV show covering this play, and so it kind of makes you not able to suspend disbelief. That said, it does have some great moments of humor. Jason Schwartzman's really good, Scarlett Johansson's good, Tom Hanks is great, and he sort of plays into the themes of grief and so on. Jeffrey Wright was great here, Maya Hawke. There's a lot of good parts of the movie, but at the end I did feel a little bit underwhelmed. It's still an enjoyable movie. I think it's solid, and I rated it at least like a 3.5 out of 5, and I'd even recommend it if you like Wes Anderson. Again, I do think it's a fun movie. There's some cool cameos too, like Margot Robbie, Hong Chow, and so on. I just think it's much lower for me in my Wes Anderson ranking because of these ways that the plot kind of undoes itself. Number 10 is Fantastic Mr. Fox. Fantastic Mr. Fox is, again, so energetic, but still retains a lot of the themes that Wes Anderson likes: dysfunctional families, existentialism. George Clooney and Meryl Streep lead the cast very well here. The main reason it's low on my ranking is I just haven't seen it in a while. I think I discovered it for the first time before I was old enough to appreciate it. I was literally 7 years old, and I do really like it. Again, I just think I discovered his other movies by the time I had already gotten that spark for movies like this. Number 9 is The Phoenician Scheme. This is his newest movie, and I think it's definitely a step up from Asteroid City. I think it's super enjoyable, and everything about it worked for me. From the first couple minutes, it sets this tone and this energy, and whenever it's going for the stylistic stuff, it never felt out of reach or pretentious. It always felt, embedded in what the story needed, like in Wes Anderson's best works. The reason it's lower for me is just because I like the other movies even more, but this one could even grow on me the more I think of it. Benicio del Toro giving one of his best performances in a really long time, his best at least since Sicario. Mia Threppleton giving a great breakout performance. Michael Cera is so much fun here. This is the best thing he's done in a while. Number 8 is The French Dispatch. This is one where, again, sometimes its ambition exceeds its grasp, but the framing devices all worked for me. I think each storyline here I think each storyline here has its stronger moments and its more dragged out moments, but at their best, they're all really fun. Whether it's the complicated relationship between Adrian Brody, who's like an art curator, and Benicio del Toro, who's like a convicted painter, or the even weirder relationship between Frances McDormand and Timothée Chalamet in the second one, or Jeffrey Wright in the third one, who kind of just is like this food taster or food critic who's kind of just along for the ride when he comes to a police station. Number 7 is the Darjeeling Limited. Something that's going to come up a lot here is dysfunctional families. And what's better than 3 siblings played by Owen Wilson, Adrian Brody, and Jason Schwartzman going on a train ride in India to visit their mother, who they've been estranged from for a while, played by the great Angelica Houston, who's in a lot of these movies. She was also the narrator in The French Dispatch, and she's wonderful. Literally just as the narrator. Number 6 is Rushmore. This was his second movie ever after Bottle Rocket and still considered one of his most acclaimed movies. Jason Schwartzman is like a child prodigy here, and I never really found him to be full-on likable, but he's also sweet. I think that's kind of the irony of it, is he just so like conceited, but also just maybe a little well-intentioned. And Bill Murray, also a complete asshole in this movie, but I think one of his best performances of his career. Olivia Williams is also caught in this love triangle between them. And again, there are some very weird moments, especially because so much of it is based on this teenager being in love with his teacher, who's, you know, a woman in her 30s. And this is very odd, but if you're able to enjoy its course and where it goes, I think there are some parts where it loses steam, but overall it ends up in a really charming place. Number 5 is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. This is a movie that when I first watched it, I was like, it was good. And then I watched it another time, and something about the style really worked for me. This, again, has a lot of melancholy in it because Bill Murray is playing this almost like Jacques Cousteau, like scuba diver who's almost a bit of a celebrity in his world, who has lost his best friend to a shark attack. Now he's going after the shark, and Owen Wilson is on board as this guy who claims to be his son, may or may not be. Again, there's just a lot of sadness about it. Like this guy who is just drifting and depressed, and also kind of rejecting the fact that this loving young man might be his son. But there's a lot of interesting stuff here in the style, whether the stop motion or Willem Dafoe's character, who brings a lot of great moments here. I think there's something really nice about it. It's also by far his longest movie, which, again, you feel the runtime, but by the time you get to the end, it feels like an interesting journey. This one definitely sticks out to me, and I'm more of a defender of it than other people, but I'm personally very fond of it. Number 4 is The Royal Tenenbaums. Calling Wes Anderson's families dysfunctional is an understatement, but the Tenenbaums are so like, again, there's some weird relationships here, especially like some stepbro, stepsis stuff, but if you can get over that, and this is a great watch. Gene Hackman does one of the best things he's ever done in his career. R.I.P., he passed away this last year, and he was one of the great legends. It tackles such interesting ways of showing how we deal with pain, how we externalize and internalize it, and I guess sometimes our futile desires to reconnect or atone. Everyone here is so interesting. Again, Angelica Houston being really good, Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Danny Glover, Gwyneth Paltrow, Luke Wilson. There's a lot of iconic scenes here, and overall, there's a really memorable story that presents itself. I think all the characters are really flawed, but you grow to connect with them over time. Number 3 is Isle of Dogs. This is one of my favorite stop motion movies ever made. There's something about the themes and the style of this movie. Again, like every time Wes Anderson made a movie, he tries to out Wes Anderson himself stylistically. Like, you watch the movies over time and they get more intense and bigger from a style and like a production value perspective. And it's so amazing to see. But Isle of Dogs, interestingly, has so many unique themes, like even just the idea of this dog voiced by Bryan Cranston who has this distrust of humanity, as opposed to like usually we see there's a human who hates animals or mythic creatures and has to shed that prejudice or whatever. I love that flip of expectations, and Cranston gives a really amazing voice performance here. Greta Gerwig also has a really great voice performance. I loved the adventure here and the style and the quirks and how unexpected it keeps being. And yeah, as this movie says, I love dogs, so of course this movie was for me. Number 2 is The Grand Budapest Hotel. This is definitely his most acclaimed movie, and I think, again, from a production standpoint, it's his best made film. It was nominated for 9 Oscars and won 4. It's a movie I've seen at least 3 times, and I don't think I'll ever get sick of it. It's just so much, you know, and only in an hour and 40 minutes, maybe less. It just brings so much story, so much world. Ray Fiennes as Monsieur Gustave and his friendship with Zero is one of the most heartfelt things ever. All the miniatures too, that I didn't even realize were miniatures when I was younger, because there's so much of this movie that is so out of this world, but you kind of just buy it because none of it looks CGI, or you usually believe that the characters are interacting with it. I could talk forever about the Grand Budapest Hotel, but this is, you know, one of the standout movies of the 2010s for so many reasons. And my number 1 favorite Wes Anderson movie, I mean, there's only one that I haven't talked about yet. It's Moonrise Kingdom. This is probably not many people's number 1s besides me, and I understand, but for me, this was a special film. I watched it for the first time when I was 10 years old in theaters, and I still have no idea how 10-year-old me was interested in this movie, how it was just exactly for me, but everything about Wes Anderson's style appealed to me, and especially the 2 main characters who are these misunderstood young kids who run away from home and form a little romance. Something about that touched me so deeply, and I loved it so much, and I've seen it like 5 times now. There's still a bit of nihilism in this movie, but there's more of a warmth because it comes from this kid world. By the way, Lucas Hedges has a really good performance here too, one of his earlier movies, and I just love every frame, the score, the themes, the 2 lead performances, and where it goes in the end. This is one of my favorite movies, period. And I know it's more of a personal pick because not everyone would rank this at number 1. Most people, I think, would say Grand Budapest, Rushmore, or Royal Tenenbaums. And again, very understandably so. But this is always not just the Wes Anderson movie that I connected to the most and also sparked a love of, you know, drama and comedies and more stylistic films in my younger movie watching self, but also just a movie that I cherish and continue to love and champion all these years later. Let me know which are your favorite Wes Anderson movies, even if you haven't seen all of them. What are your favorite performances, scenes, lines, needle drops? He loves using great music in these. I'd love to continue the conversation about one of my favorite filmmakers down in the comments below, and of course, stay tuned for more here on the channel.